Hi everyone, so in this video I'll be talking about respiration and the respiration cycle. So there are 4 steps to it. Let's start. First step is breathing. That's step 1, is when you create a vacuum space kind of thing going on in your lungs and it pulls that air in. It's not muscles forcing in the air. So let's pause. Our lungs are expanded. That's the end of step 1. Step 2 is external respiration. That doesn't mean anything's going on the outside of your body or that you're breathing out. It's just happening on the surface of the lungs and in the lungs. So external respiration, it's a gas exchange between the pulmonary capillaries, which are the tiny little blood vessels that their destination is the lungs, and the lungs are switching gases basically. So the oxygen from the lungs goes into the pulmonary capillaries, and the CO2, the carbon dioxide, from the capillaries are going back into the lungs, which is what we breathe out. So from there, what happens next? The oxygenated blood from the capillaries, they go back to the heart, and the heart pumps the blood to the systemic capillaries, which is step 3. So your systemic capillaries, it's those tiny little capillaries that go somewhere that is not the lungs. So it's your fingers, your toes, your kidney, your pancreas, your brain, all those kind of things, your bones, all those kind of things. That's what those capillaries, systemic capillaries, are going to. Everything else in your body that needs blood. So it's carrying that oxygenated blood that was just pumped from the heart to your fingertips, your kidneys, all of those things. So what's happening there is another gas exchange. The gas exchange going on there is the oxygen is leaving the capillaries and it's going into the interstitial fluids, which is the body fluid that is not blood. So and that's what's helping it, function, because we use oxygen. So the oxygen is leaving the capillaries and it's going into the interstitial fluids, and the CO2 from the interstitial fluids are going back into the blood. So 4th step is cellular respiration. Very familiar, I hope. Cellular respiration, it's that wonderful, wonderful little equation that's C6H12O6, which is glucose, plus O2, which is oxygen, yields to make CO2 and H2O, which is water, and ATP, which is our energy molecule, which is what we need. So it takes that oxygen and that glucose and it converts it to water and CO2. That CO2 that was made from cellular respiration went into the capillaries during internal respiration, and then external respiration. So it kind of starts with step 1, goes to step 4, goes back to step 1. So the total path that oxygen takes, you breathe it in, goes to your lungs, it goes to your pulmonary arteries or your pulmonary capillaries. It goes to the heart, is pumped out to the systemic capillaries, which is, of course, your fingers and toes and everything in between. And then the oxygen leaves the blood, and the CO2 that was created from cellular respiration goes into the blood, comes back, goes back to the heart, is pumped to the lungs. The lungs, gas exchange happens, and then we breathe out. So all of that happens when you go. That's all that's happening. Oxygen is going everywhere, carbon dioxide is going everywhere, and that's the cycle of respiration.